The Quran draws a roadmap for a happy life. The relationship between God and humans is an individual one. On the Day of Judgment, every person will be judged for their own deeds, and God will reward them with either paradise or hellfire. If individuals are righteous, society will be righteous. God did not send his prophet, peace be upon him, to form Islamic sects or parties, and he forbade that, as stated in the Quran when he addressed the prophet.
إن الذين فرقوا دينهم وكانوا شيعا لست منهم في شيء إنما أمرهم إلى الله ثم ينبئهم بما كانوا يفعلون.
Holding fast to the Book of God. God commands all people to hold firmly to the Quran to avoid division and conflicting ideologies that lead to contradictions, which may escalate into conflict, spreading fear and chaos in society. Instead of peace, chaos and destruction take over. Therefore, God commands in the Quran,
وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا.
He also warns the Muslims, saying,
وَلَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ.
The Sacred Covenant. If every Muslim adhered to the Sacred Covenant, which is the Quran, it would draw a roadmap for a good life on earth and paradise in the hereafter if they followed divine law and the divine moral system. They would recognize their responsibilities toward their Creator and follow his laws as laid out in the Quran. If they applied the moral code that emphasizes great virtues such as mercy, justice, freedom, kindness, the prohibition of aggression, and cooperation for the good of humanity, human societies would live in peace, security, and dignity. Building the family. How can a Muslim family be built when religious scholars have adopted Jewish laws in dealing with women? Their belief considers women to be the ones who tempted Adam and caused his expulsion from paradise. Based on this concept, men dominated the legislation concerning women, controlling their rights and treating them as inferior, suitable only for service and pleasure, without rights. Women have suffered great injustice in this context. When viewed as inferior, justice is lost, and problems arise between spouses, leading to the collapse of the family. Usurping rights. Men have monopolized all rights, trampling on women's rights to the extent that a single word from a man, uttering divorce, can destroy a family and leave children in the absence of divine justice. Scholars neglected the Quranic law of equality between men and women, as God says,
وَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِنَ الصَّالِحَاتِ مِن ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنثَىٰ وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَأُولَٰئِكَ يَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةَ وَلَا يُظْلَمُونَ نَقِيرًا. Equality between men and women. Despite this and other verses that confirm equality between men and women, some religious scholars, including those from Al-Azhar and graduates of various religious institutes, do not recognize God's judgment regarding equality. Instead, their thoughts are influenced by Jewish traditions that hold women responsible for Adam's expulsion from paradise. According to this belief, women should not be treated equally to men in rights. However, God absolves women from this false accusation, as stated in the Quran. فوسوس لهما الشيطان ليبدي لهما ما وري عنهما من سوآتهما وقال ما نهاكما ربكما عن هذه الشجرة إلا أن تكونا ملكين أو تكونا من الخالدين وقاسمهما إني لكما لمن الناصحين فدلاهما بغرور فلما ذاقا الشجرة بدت لهما سوآتهما وطفقا يخصفان عليهما من ورق الجنة وناداهما ربهما ألم أنهكما عن تلكما الشجرة وأقل لكما إن الشيطان لكما عدو مبين قالا ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين.
Following Satan. The verses emphasize that God warned both Adam and his wife against following Satan and forbade them from eating from the tree. These verses clear women of being solely responsible for the sin, as Jewish law claims. This also refutes the scholars who based their rulings on such traditions, which led to laws that contradict God's law in the Quran, where both men and women share responsibility. Piety and righteous deeds. This divine justice ensures equality for all people, with no superiority except through piety and righteous deeds. How can they talk about the importance of the family when it is not founded on God's law? The foundation of the relationship between spouses should be based on God's words.
وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ.
Affection and mercy. This divine address is for both men and women, not just men. Is there affection and mercy between spouses among Muslims? Or is the relationship between master and servant, where the woman's duty is to serve in the house, subject to punishment or expulsion if she disobeys? Are her rights trampled, and is her voice silenced by the dominance of her husband? Problems between spouses. In the absence of justice, mercy, and affection, problems arise between spouses. Children grow up in an environment filled with anger and shouting, witnessing the injustice, insults, and contempt directed at their mothers. These children grow up in a tense atmosphere, which affects their mental health and behavior in adulthood. Is this the Islam that came with laws of mercy, affection, justice, and kindness? Religious scholars and devils. Before talking about the family, religious scholars should review their religion, which has been distorted by some religious scholars and devils who mixed Jewish law with the message of Islam. As a result, Jewish traditions dominated Muslims, justice was lost, and Muslims divided into sects, fighting and killing each other from the time of the Prophet's death until today. Therefore, there is a need to reconsider personal status law, with the Quran as the sole reference. A committee of equal representation from educated men and women, such as judges, lawyers, or university professors of Arabic, along with the legislative committee in the parliament, should work together to correct the path of justice that God commanded. This would ensure social balance without one side oppressing the other, aligning personal status law with divine legislation, which protects the rights of all without oppression, injustice, or assault.